Have you ever embarrassed yourself on live television? Jessica Morrison never thought she would, until the day she forgot to open that one file folder. That thick manila folder hiding a Harvard degree, Cambridge PhD, and fluency in 12 languages would destroy Jessica's 8-year career in just 17 minutes. But first, we need to see how the trap was set. At CNN's Atlanta headquarters, fluorescent lights are buzzing, the smell of coffee hangs in the corridors, and there's that last-minute news tension in the air. Jessica Morrison is sitting in her corner office, stirring her coffee without even glancing at the script in front of her. Her door bursts open and producer Marcus Chen rushes in, breathless. "Jessica, breaking news," Marcus says excitedly. The African Education Summit story just exploded. "You're doing a live interview with the president who's been making international waves." "Which president?" Jessica asks without looking up. "Ibrahim Traoré from Burkina Faso. He's been challenging Western education systems, apparently has some impressive reforms." Jessica bursts out laughing. "Another African dictator trying to look important. What's he going to tell us, how he built a mud school?" Marcus frowns. "Jessica, maybe you should read the briefing materials. This guy seems different." "Marcus, I've been covering international politics for 8 years. These African leaders are all the same. Big promises, broken English, zero substance. I could do this interview in my sleep." What Jessica doesn't know is that Marcus just received an email from CNN's international desk containing Traoré's complete academic credentials. But Jessica's dismissive attitude prevents him from sharing this career-saving information. "The interview's live at 4 p.m., Marcus says, dropping a thick folder on her desk. "Everything you need is right here." Jessica glances at the folder but never opens it. "I don't need notes to interview some village chief playing president." 6 hours later, Jessica's in the CNN studio getting her makeup touched up, making the comments that will destroy her career. "Did you guys see this guy's photo?" Jessica says to her makeup artist, pointing at Traoré's headshot on her desk. "Typical African strongman. Probably can't even pronounce democracy correctly." Her cameraman, James Rodriguez, overhears the comment. "Jessica, maybe you should show some respect. The guy's a head of state." "James, honey," Jessica replies condescendingly. "Respect is earned through competence, not military coups. This interview's going to be painful for viewers who have to listen to his broken English." What Jessica doesn't realize is that the pre-show cameras are recording everything, and more importantly, that Ibrahim Traoré can hear every word through his earpiece as technicians test the satellite connection. In Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traoré sits in his presidential office, listening to Jessica's racist commentary with growing amusement. His linguistic advisor, Dr. Fatima Sawadogo, is also listening through the feed. "Mr. President," Dr. Sawadogo whispers. She has no idea what she's about to face. "I know," Traoré replies in perfect English. "Let's give her exactly what she expects, then show her what she wasn't prepared for." As the CNN cameras go live, Jessica Morrison has no clue she's about to conduct the most humiliating interview of her career. "Good evening, I'm Jessica Morrison and this is CNN International," she begins with her trademark confident smile. "Tonight we're speaking with Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, about education reform in Africa." The screen splits to show Traoré in his presidential office wearing a simple military uniform and looking directly into the camera with calm authority. "President Traoré," Jessica begins with barely concealed condescension. "Thank you for joining us tonight. I understand you have some interesting ideas about education reform." "Thank you for having me," Traoré replies, deliberately affecting a heavy accent that makes Jessica visibly smirk on camera. "I am very happy to discuss with you our education progress." Jessica's smile widens as she senses an easy target. "President Traoré, when you say progress, what exactly do you mean? Because international data shows that Burkina Faso still struggles with basic literacy." "Yes, this is true problem," Traoré continues with the exaggerated accent. "We have many challenge with education system. Very difficult for African country like ours." Jessica leans forward, clearly enjoying what she perceives as intellectual superiority. Indeed, it is difficult. Tell me, President Traoré, what is your own educational background? Did you attend university? This is the moment Traoré has been waiting for. Oh yes, I go to school. Local school first, and I travel too. I'm sorry, Jessica interrupts with a laugh that will soon go viral for all the wrong reasons. Could you speak more slowly? Our viewers are having trouble understanding your English. The comment sends shockwaves through CNN's control room. Marcus Chen covers his face with his hands, knowing Jessica just crossed a line that will destroy her career. But Traoré maintains his act perfectly. Sorry, I speak too fast. It's not my first language, you know. I can tell, Jessica replies with obvious amusement. Maybe we should have arranged for an interpreter. That's when Traoré delivers the first blow that will begin Jessica's destruction. Actually, he says, suddenly switching to perfect, unaccented English, I think my English is quite adequate for this conversation. Jessica's smile falters as she notices the complete transformation in Traoré's speech pattern. What I meant was, what you meant, Traoré continues in flawless English, was to mock my accent and question my intelligence based on linguistic prejudices. Shall I continue in French, German, Mandarin, or would you prefer one of the 9 African languages I speak fluently? The studio falls completely silent. Jessica's face goes pale as she realizes she's been masterfully played. Let me start over, Traoré says, his voice now carrying the unmistakable authority of superior education. I am Ibrahim Traoré, and unlike what your research apparently told you, I hold degrees from some institutions you might recognize. Jessica scrambles to regain control. President Traoré, I apologize if there was any misunderstanding. Oh, there was no misunderstanding, Traoré interrupts smoothly. You made your position quite clear during the pre-show when you called me a village chief playing president and suggested I probably couldn't pronounce democracy correctly. Jessica's eyes widen in horror as she realizes her pre-show comments were recorded and heard. Since you're curious about my educational background, Traoré continues, perhaps I should clarify a few points that your thorough research apparently missed. Documents begin appearing on screen as Traoré speaks. Bachelor's degree in political science, Harvard University, magna cum laude, class of 2008. Jessica's mouth falls open as she stares at the official Harvard transcript displayed on her own network. Master's degree in international relations, Cambridge University, with distinction, 2010. More documents flash across the screen, each one more devastating to Jessica's credibility. PhD in linguistics, Cambridge University, dissertation on multilingual, cognitive frameworks in African educational systems, 2012. The PhD diploma appears on screen, showing Traoré's name in elegant Latin script. And for good measure, Traoré adds with a slight smile, Certificate in Broadcast Journalism from Columbia University 2013. I believe that's your alma mater, isn't it, Ms. Morrison? Jessica's face has gone completely white. Her community college background suddenly seems pathetic compared to Traoré's Ivy League credentials, but perhaps most relevant to our conversation, Traoré continues relentlessly. I'm a visiting professor of linguistics at Harvard, where I teach courses on African language preservation and multilingual education systems. Official Harvard faculty listings appear on screen, showing Traoré's name among the distinguished visiting professors. Tell me, Ms. Morrison, Traoré says with devastating politeness, what are your academic qualifications in linguistics? I'm curious about your expertise in language assessment, Jessica stammers helplessly. I have a degree in communications from DeKalb Community College, Traoré finishes for her. Yes, I did my research as well. 2-year associate degree, graduated 2018, quite recent. The revelation that a community college graduate had been mocking a Harvard professor's English sends ripples of shock through the viewing audience. Now then, Traoré continues in flawless academic English. Shall we discuss education reform? Because I have some fascinating data about multilingual pedagogical approaches that might interest your viewers. Jessica tries desperately to regain control of the interview. President Traoré, while your credentials are impressive, let's focus on your country's actual educational outcomes. Excellent suggestion, Traoré replies. Our educational outcomes since implementing multilingual instruction have been remarkable. Would you like me to present the data in English, French, or perhaps Mandarin? I've published papers on this topic in all 3 languages. Academic papers begin appearing on screen, showing Traoré as the lead author on research published in prestigious educational journals. These studies, Traoré explains, demonstrate that students who learn in their native languages alongside international languages show 340% better retention rates than traditional single-language systems. Jessica stares blankly at the complex academic data, clearly unable to comprehend the sophisticated research. Perhaps I should simplify this for your audience, Traoré offers condescendingly. When children learn in languages they understand, they learn better. Revolutionary concept, I know. The insult is delivered so smoothly that it takes Jessica several seconds to realize she's been called intellectually inadequate. Harvard Graduate School of Education, Traoré continues, has adopted our methodology for their new multilingual pedagogy program. Perhaps you could interview their dean about it, though you might want to prepare more thoroughly than you did for this conversation. Jessica's producer is frantically signaling from off camera, but she's too stunned to respond coherently. Ms. Morrison, Traoré says with mock concern, you seem to have lost your voice. Is the English too complex for you? The devastating reversal is complete. The anchor who mocked an African president's English is now being intellectually dismantled by a Harvard professor on her own network. In fact, Traoré continues, since we're discussing language skills, perhaps you'd like to demonstrate your own linguistic abilities? Can you conduct this interview in any language other than English? Jessica remains silent, clearly out of her depth. No? That's unfortunate. In my culture, we believe that true intelligence is demonstrated by one's ability to communicate across linguistic boundaries, not by mocking those who speak multiple languages. Traoré leans forward slightly, his voice taking on a professorial tone. Ms. Morrison, you've just provided a perfect case study in what we call monolingual privilege, the assumption that native English speakers are inherently more intelligent than multilingual individuals. I never said, Jessica begins weakly. You didn't need to say it explicitly, Traoré interrupts. Your prejudices were quite clear from your pre-show comments and your reaction to my initial accent. This is exactly the kind of linguistic bias we teach our students to recognize and overcome. The academic demolition continues as Traoré displays more of his credentials. I should mention, he adds casually, that I'm also certified in 8 programming languages, hold a patent for educational software used in 12 countries, and serve on the advisory board of the MIT Center for Digital Learning. Each revelation is like another nail in the coffin of Jessica's credibility. But let's return to your original question about education in Africa, Traoré says. What specifically would you like to know? I've published extensively on the subject. Jessica has become completely silent, staring at the screen in shock as viewers witness the most complete journalistic humiliation in television history. Ms. Morrison? Traoré prompts gently. Has the interview become too challenging for you? Perhaps we should continue in a simpler format. The condescension is devastating, made worse by Traoré's polite tone. I understand this might be overwhelming, Traoré continues with mock sympathy. After all, you're not used to interviewing actual academics. Most of your work seems to focus on celebrity gossip and local crime stories. Jessica's previous interview topics flash on screen, showing a career built on fluff pieces and sensationalism, rather than serious journalism. Tell you what, Traoré offers magnanimously. Why don't I give your viewers a real education about African development? Consider it a public service. For the next 10 minutes, Traoré delivers a masterclass in educational policy that showcases his expertise while highlighting Jessica's complete incompetence. In conclusion, Traoré says as the interview winds down, I hope your viewers have learned something valuable today. both about education and about the importance of doing proper research before making judgments about others. Jessica manages, "Only a week, thank you for joining us," before the cameras cut away. Within hours, clips of the interview have gone viral. Jessica destroyed and Dasher Harvard vs Community College become trending topics worldwide. The next morning, Jessica Morrison is called into CNN's executive offices. By noon, her termination is announced. By evening, law schools are using the interview as a case study in professional humiliation. 6 months later, Ibrahim Traoré is invited to deliver the commencement address at Harvard, where he speaks about the importance of intellectual humility and the dangers of linguistic prejudice. Jessica Morrison, meanwhile, is working at a small local news station, forever remembered as the anchor who tried to mock a Harvard professor's English and had her career destroyed in 17 minutes of live television. The folder that could have saved her career still sits unopened on her old desk at CNN, containing all the information that would have prevented the most embarrassing interview in broadcast journalism history. Sometimes, the most devastating defeats come not from external enemies, but from our own arrogance and willful ignorance. And Jessica Morrison's story proves one thing. Have your prejudices ever embarrassed you? Have you ever made such a mistake? Tell us in the comments, because there's a lesson here we can all learn from.